the street is that the Thor Ragnarok teaser trailer actually does not play in front of The Fate of the Furious, as I had thought that it would to counteract the Justice League trailer in front of that movie. And for any of you who saw The Fate of the Furious last night, is that true? I'm seeing it again tonight. But is Thor Ragnarok attached to that film? If it's not, I have no idea why they released it on Monday, because I think it hurts this Star Wars trailer. I was very surprised to see so many of you be like, I didn't like it, in the comments of my live reaction. And I think it might be because a number of you just came to it from whatever else you were doing at the moment, whereas I had just sat through an hour retrospective of, it kind of felt like a retrospective, because they were like, you know why Star Wars is so cool and why we're so excited to continue the story, and let's talk a whole lot about the hype about The Force Awakens, which is interesting, because I think people have turned on The Force Awakens as time has gone by and realized accurately that it's a total copy of episode 4. But it has its moments. I love Daisy Ridley personally. I like her performance. But we'll see if the movie's too female-centric. I was very disappointed for them to be like, the newest character who has the most screen time is another lady. And I'm like, you just can't help yourself, can you, Kathleen? But this trailer had a lot of balance. They actually even said the word balance. We'll talk about it. But, I was in the zone. I was in the mood. I was ready for the Last Jedi teaser trailer. But it doesn't have the excitement factor that Thor Ragnarok did. Thor Ragnarok just like slapped you across the face and like a Three Stooge and like just really woke you up and you were like, what is this? It's so new and exciting. But you have to remember that Rian Johnson, the filmmaker here, is an old school filmmaker. I mean, if you watch any of his movies, they're very well crafted, but he's a filmmaker who takes his time. He's like, wait for it. Well, Taika Waititi is like the Flash. He's like, watch me zip through this. How many cool things can I do and can I cram into this movie? But, I have to say, he does it in a very good manner. It's not rushed, and I think he earns every moment. He's that good. He's that fast. And not to say that Rian Johnson isn't a good filmmaker, but I think you have to realize these are very different filmmakers, and that's reflected in their teaser trailers, and I suspect in the films themselves. So Thor Ragnarok, we've talked with the Thor Ragnarok teaser about Thor Ragnarok, Justice League, and Star Wars The Last Jedi, which will gross the most amount of money. Who knows? It could be Thor Ragnarok. We shall see. I think the teaser poster that they released is going to do a lot of the heavy lifting for the movie coming out of Star Wars Celebration. It's very nice. It's got the sign of the Jedi there, right, smack in the middle. It's very old school, just like Thor Ragnarok. It's the year for old school. But this is a direct reference to the very first Star Wars poster. And I love having both Luke Skywalker and Kylo Ren. The question is this a family portrait? Everyone's dying to know Rey's parentage. I love the red color. As you can see, I accidentally dressed appropriately for the day, but that's a really attractive poster. It would catch your eye walking in the theater. And I love her capris and boots. That's a great look. I like your fashion sense, Rey. And she's still rocking those super long gloves. I like it. I think she looks cool. I think that look would appeal to a lot of women. All right, so let's go through this thing. It's a teaser, but there's actually a lot going on. So I really liked the way it started, that you thought you were in space, but then, it's a trick of the eye. It's just water reflecting off of these rocks, which I thought it really got my attention. I thought that was really cool. It was a neat, and that's, I think, Rian Johnson in a nutshell, right? That he's like, ooh, I'm gonna do a cool, like, look at this. Oh, I just focused and you're not in space. You're looking at a rock. And so you have to be in the zone to appreciate that. So she smacks her hand down and you can see she's breathing really heavily. And one of you really, I think, accurately pointed out that this is a direct homage to with the very first teaser trailer for Force Awakens, with how Finn came into shot. So hey, Poe Dameron, you're coming up next for the teaser trailer for episode 9. You got to complete it now that it's become a pattern. But she looks very cool. I think she's selling the distress, and it's the same effect that would happen when Finn did it. You're like, oh, what's happening? Oh my goodness, it turns on your own adrenaline. You're like, are we in danger? Although with her, I'm just like, crazy workout, huh, Rey? Because I know she's on the island working out with her powers. But she looks like maybe she's had a breakthrough, and she has, I think, as you're about to see. So she's training. She's like, he's a masochistic jerk, like give me a break, man. I need water. So then they bring in, and you can see everything's changed in terms of color. This is devoid of color. Usually it has a little green to it. I miss the green, to be perfectly honest with you. What a gift from the location gods, whoever scouted this. It's so beautiful. And look at that. So that's the top of the island. Isn't that neat? Like at first it looks like you're looking at a wall maybe, but you're actually looking at the topography. Oh, big words from the top, and it's really neat. That's really great. They're like, it's our island just for us. They're like literally on a deserted island. Very cool. So there she's like, look, so she's like, I've had enough of this stupid training. I can't take it anymore. She's rocking the short pants and boots there again. So she's standing here. This is a nice shot. It's a little too dark to be able, someone asked me how many money shots this had. Thor Ragnarok wins in terms of money shots. But this has, I'd say, about 3. It has pretty good shots for each character, except for Luke Skywalker. It doesn't have a good Luke Skywalker shot, which I thought was interesting. I thought that was a wasted opportunity. But here, you know, she's learning her powers clearly. Like what Luke is going to do is going to teach her the way of the Jedi. He's like, it's time for the Jedi to end, but we're going to go out with a bang. Hopefully, that's what I would add to it. They'll remember us, damn it. But I think that in the movies, they haven't done a good job showing how many different powers the Jedi actually possess. If you are into Star Wars lore and you read the books or spend some time on Wikipedia, you know. And I've actually done a video about the power sets of both the Sith and the Jedi so that you will have some idea of what Kylo Ren and Rey can do going forward. And I'll put links to those in the video description and at the end of the video. So anyway, so she's, you know, having a cool down from her workout. That's great, right? So, of course, one of the great qualities of skill sets of the Jedi is telekinesis. Everyone loves telekinesis. It's so much fun. I mean, look at the end of Rogue One. Telekinesis is everybody's friend. So here she's practicing, or maybe she's finally got it. You know, she's like, I don't know if that's from the earlier thing when she jumped up, although I think maybe that isn't. Now that I see the background, it looks like maybe she's situated a little bit differently. But she's able to make, you know, she looks, by Jove, I think she's got it. Do a little My Fair Lady reference there. But that looks really cool. And it reminded me so much of the end shot of Batman v Superman, to the point where if I were the Batman v Superman team, I'd be like, God damn it, Disney, do your own stuff. But it looks very cool. And Daisy Ridley, you know, she doesn't have a manicure, but of course she wouldn't. She's a Jedi on a deserted island. But I think her hand she looks very cool. She looks really nice. It's like, it's strong, but still feminine. Wouldn't it be embarrassing if that were Mark Hamill's hand? It's not, but it's funny to think that it would be. Okay, all right, so anyway, she's levitating some pebbles. She's like, I'm going to make it rain if you make me do one more Jedi push-up. Okay. Let's see. Another superhero training sequence. Now, this is crazy. I'm very interested to see how they handle Carrie Fisher in this movie, her character, both from the point of growing the characters they originally intended when they made the movie, and then, of course, from the editing bay with the perspective of her tragic passing. But, you know, I think Carrie Fisher must have loved her costume for this movie, because they showed a picture of her at Star Wars Celebration during the panel, and she's got these crazy white streaks on both sides of her head. I mean, she looks... Princess Leia has like gotten kooky. She's like embraced her inner, or General Leia has embraced her inner hippie. I think that's a really interesting choice. I think finally Princess Leia dresses how Carrie Fisher would have wanted her to, which I think is really nice that she got to, you know, finally Carrie Fisher and Leia became one. They met in the middle, and, you know, she truly, you know, she pulled the character, I think, to a place that she was probably very happy with at the end, which makes me feel nice. But in this picture, I gotta tell you, like mother, like son, I thought that was Kylo Ren, because they have the same hairstyle. I was like, oh, look at Kylo Ren. He's commanding a ship and he's looking at a map. And then I was like, oh, sorry, my bad. That's Leia. And it looks like the rebels have upped their ship, you know, what they have going for them. They seemed a little more ragtag in The Force Awakens. I gotta tell you, I talked about this in my review of Logan. I was very disappointed that after watching the original trilogy and being like, yeah, the rebels, you know, and watching Rogue One, you were like, yeah, you know, to think about The Force Awakens and how none of that really worked, and that the Empire came back as the First Order and the rebels are still fighting, you know, decades later, you're kind of like, you know, it's really demoralizing. You're like, you know, I can't believe you guys haven't made more progress in this. In fact, Rian Johnson said, I think I might be mispronouncing it. I think maybe it's Ryan, but it should be Rian. It's cooler. But anyway, when he was at Star Wars Celebration, he said, oh, you know, the First Order, they destroyed the Rebel stronghold, so even though they lost the Star Killer base, aka the Death Star 2, they have an advantage and they're pressing it, and you're like, this again? Are you kidding me? It's just, you know, I don't know. I'd be like, no offense to General Leia, but maybe we need new leadership if we are still doing the same damn thing. Okay. So that's a nice map, though. She's got the best map collection ever. Remember, like, Macmillan and Company, like a map corporate? I think they were put out of business by the internet, but I'd be curious to know who supplies maps in the future. I guess Star Wars Google. All right, so anyway, they're like, where am I? All right. They're like, show me Street View, Star Wars Google. I love Street View. So a lot of you said this was Kylo Ren's mask. I don't know how you can tell that's Kylo Ren's mask. Oh, and she's, he's also, but basically he's like, breathe. What do you see? So she says light for Leia because it's the Jedi. And then darkness for Kylo Ren because he threw another temper tantrum apparently. And he's like, I'm not wearing this stupid thing anymore. I'm too hot for it. And everyone else is, he's like, I'm both too hot in terms of my looks and it's suffocating me and I'm sweating too much. And also it was so funny when he took it off and had perfect hair underneath that. I would have had more respect if his hair had been just like really crazy and nuts and everyone was like, helmet hair. I've been there. You know, same with Batman whenever he takes off his cowl. He looks just perfect. It's ridiculous. But I love Adam Driver. I think he's an incredibly charismatic actor, and it's stupid to cover up his face. It's absolutely ridiculous. So I'm glad that it looks like going forward, he won't be wearing that dumb thing. And his hair, it not only looks like Leia, but it looks like the mask too. So whatever. All right. I loved when those stormtroopers turned around in Force Awakens when he was throwing a tantrum. I live for little moments like that. Where's my stormtrooper television show, man, on Netflix, right? Make it happen. So here you can see this at first I was like, is that Luke's library? Are those like his few little books like Belle and her little village? I think maybe those might be kyber crystals. I don't know. It looks like to me it looks like books on a cool tree bookshelf. I'm like, wow, design within reach, right, Skywalker? Is that where you shop? My friend has a funny joke about design within reach because it's supposed to be affordable designer furniture, but if you ever walk in there and look at the price tags, I don't know whose reach it's in, but it's not within mine, or I would think most people's. But anyway, and hysterically, they have like a store at the mall now. They're in malls, which I think is ridiculous. But anyway, that's a really nice designed little thing there because there's a hole cut in the ceiling so that the sun shines directly on the Jedi symbol. I'm like, oh, that's a neat idea. And you can see someone's been doodling in class because there's doodles there. That would be hilarious. I wish it was like Luke and Rey or like whatever year, Stardate, or, you know, I guess that's Star Trek, but however they tell years in Star Wars. But here, see, at first I thought that was Rey's hand, but it's wearing a glove. A pretty cool, like, yellow suede glove. I'm going to guess Benicio del Toro, because that's pretty big pimpin'. Although maybe Luke. I don't know. I don't really like Luke's styling. We'll talk about that when we see his shadow or his silhouette later in the trailer. But there's a gloved hand. Is it touching it lovingly or in, like, almost erased? And it is kind of fading away, which is interesting. Kind of like the Jedi itself. It's so symbolic. Okay. Nice job, art department. Favorite shot in the whole trailer. You'll see that it is I'm going to try and use it as my poster frame for this. We'll see if it translates. They're so tiny. They're so tiny. I don't know if they're going to translate in a poster frame. But I like that you can see her lightsaber from far away. It's so cool. And I like that he's up there watching. You know, just like, yeah, keep going, doing it. One of you said this was from Highlander, but to me this seems like Mr. Miyagi from Karate Kid. I think it's hilarious. And I like that she's practicing. What a great place to practice, right? I mean, the school, their brochure is amazing. Luke's like, I'm not taking any more students. He's like, there's like an asterisk at the bottom being like, warning, you might be killed by one of my other students. It happens a lot with the Jedi. As I said, Jedi Human Resources really needs to look into that. Now, you see this stupid ship that can't get it together? I hope that's not Finn. He's like, I got out of my space coma so that I could stupidly fly another ship. They got to do right by Finn in this movie. You know, Kathleen Kennedy was like, oh, Ryan can write such great female characters. I'm like, stop talking about it. Just do it. And then everyone will notice. And, you know, it's just too much favoritism, Kathleen. And I was like, can he fix Finn? I'm really curious about whether or not he can fix Finn. Can he get Poe out of the closet? These are the other things that are important, Kathleen. But anyway, I hope that's not him flying that stupid ship. But I think this is a great visual. And of course, there are walkers in the background there. But you can see somehow it's important to the plan here to kind of like break open the crust of this surface here and let this gas out. It's not coming from the ships. I think it's coming from underneath, which is pretty cool. I'm like, what's under there? That's really neat. And I like that it's red. It's great. It's really a pretty color. It's a great idea. Now there's Finn in his space coma. This could have been a money shot, but I think it's frustrating to the Finn fandom. They're like, oh, so Finn in this trailer is asleep, huh? Thanks a lot. His eyes are closed. But, you know, it looks like he has great insurance through the rebellion. All right. Or maybe he's going to huge bill when he wakes up. Okay. So there is Poe Dameron, everyone's favorite not really in the movie character. I was shocked that Oscar Isaac did not show up to Star Wars Celebration. I don't know what's going on there. I don't know if he was trying to say something, if he was trying to show he was unhappy. What could he be possibly doing that's more important? I've seen the other movies you're making, Oscar Isaac. No one's going to go see The Promise. I'm sorry. I think it would be really important for him to be there. Maybe he didn't want to be asked a bunch of questions of whether or not Poe Dameron is gay, but then maybe he shouldn't have teased it, not only with his performance, but in a lot of his interviews for The Force Awakens. So as you can see, he's running through their better digs. They're nice new digs, but they're like, why can't we have nice things? They keep getting destroyed. So he and BB-8, you can see they're trying to get to their ship. Didn't make it. Oh! Close call. I wonder how they're going to get out now. That's pretty neat. I'm excited for that. I just really want to see more Poe Dameron. I think Oscar Isaac, he's really interesting because, that's why there's something definitely going on underneath the surface with him because he keeps everything so close to the vest, right? He's like, that's okay. You can keep my jacket, Finn. I got my vest. He's literally wearing a vest. But anyway, both figuratively and literally. But I want to see more. I think he just has such an interesting take on a hero. I love it. It's really unusual. There's no bravado to his performance whatsoever. He just has a job to do. It's so cool. I love it. All right, so they're like, retreat, go back. All right, there's Millennium Falcon. Look for Rian Johnson's signature. He said he signed it. He can sign it because, of course, it's all digital from the wide shots. So I like this. So it was just too fast in the teaser, though. Someone in the comments was like, I love the shot of Rey running with her lightsaber. And I honestly was like, when did that happen? Did you make that up? Are you testing me? Because I was just so excited about it, and it happened so quickly. And her lightsaber is only in the frame for a couple of seconds. I totally missed it. Didn't see it, but it is cool. I do like the way it lights her face. I mean, it's really nice. She looks like she took a fluorescent light off the ceiling and is running around with it. Right? She's running like with her lighting in the shot. It's like they don't have a lot of crew, so they're like, just hold it, Rey. Just hold it on the. I'm like, oh, she keeps getting it in the shot. But that's going to be really nice, running at twilight with your lightsaber. Oh! Now, speaking of lightsabers, this is a great shot. See, he's like, isn't it better without my helmet? And I'm like, so much better. So you can see he's got that. Oh, look, it didn't damage his eye. I wish it had damaged his eye. That would have been cool for him. But he does have a scar. He's rocking the Tyrion Lannister look this season. So he's got a scar over his eye. That healed really nicely. That's amazing. He has good insurance, too. Whoever did the plastic surgeon with the Empire, the First Order, I'm sorry, did a nice job. But you can see, this is the beginning. He's really showing off. He's like, oh, look at my lightsaber. I'm that whole twisty thing. But my favorite thing about this shot is how it's reflected in his eye. You can only really see that if you lighten it in Photoshop, but I see what they're trying to do there. I think it could have been a tad more effective in the actual trailer. Now here, this is when you saw in the first movie, The Force Awakens, when just Luke's little mechanical hand comes in and he rests it on R2-D2. And he's like, tell me the truth, R2. Am I a bad teacher? And R2's like, you said it. So I think that's his school burning, and like Kylo's killed, the Knights of Ren have killed all the students. He's like, this is not going in the brochure. So I don't know if this is the same fire or not, okay? But there's Captain Phasma. Now, someone said to me, are you excited to see Captain Phasma in action? And let me tell you, if I saw Captain Phasma coming after watching The Force Awakens, I would be so happy, because I would be like, guys, we really lucked out. Captain Phasma folds like nobody's business. Like, remember they were like, we're going to put you in the trash compactor. Instead of her being like, I'd like to see you try. I remember your report and don't you work in trash collection, right? Isn't that what Finn said? That's what I would have said. But instead she was like, not the trash compactor. Here are the plans to the whole base. So I don't know how she's ever going to live that down. It was embarrassing. All right, so this is another space battle. I love the space battle in Rogue One. I thought it was the best space battle I've ever seen. It was amazing. I absolutely loved it. I don't know if it can be topped, quite frankly. So good luck, Last Jedi. All right. Now there he is. The costume department really failed Mark Hamill. So he has this whole thing, and he's like, I think it's time for the Jedi. And he does a pregnant pause, and you're like, yes? And he goes, to end. And you're like, what? Refund, from the class. Still not for the movie. Like, maybe I will join the First Order. They're not quitters. But, I don't know. I guess Rey's going to be like, oh, God, you mean to tell me I have to spend a third of this movie, stroking your ego, clean thoughts, and getting your mind back into this, Luke? God damn it. But anyway, so he's just standing there. And I think that the problem with this is, first off, this little cave opening that he's standing in, really emphasizes how short Mark Hamill is, right? So to me, instead of like when at the end of The Force Awakens, when they had him the big reveal, he looked very heroic, like a legend. But now he's starting to look to me like a professor. Right? Like, your professor who, you talk to, and he's the professor who's friends with all the kids, right? And so they like him, but he doesn't have quite the same amount of respect as some of maybe the other more distant professors. I don't know. I also, I don't know why that's such a, I wish it was a longer robe. I don't know why he has a short one on. He had a long one on when we saw him the first time, so I just think it looks like, to me, quite frankly, it looks like he has a rain poncho on. I think it looks ridiculous. And I really don't appreciate his quitter attitude. I know he's depressed, but come on, man. All right, so he's like, it's time for them to end, and everyone's like, fine, we'll just do it without you. You don't want to be in Episode 9? That's your problem, buddy. So then they have Star Wars The Last Jedi, and you're supposed to be like, no, is this really the last? And of course everyone's like, no, it's not The Last Jedi. They're going to make these movies forever. So, nice try. So I think it's a lot of fun. I think it has an epic quality to it. It's, it breathes like Luke Skywalker says to do. It has balance, and it's really going for like an epic feel, and it's a true teaser. Whereas the Thor Ragnarok one, it just had a lot more energy. And I truly believe that if Thor Ragnarok had not come out on Monday, this trailer would have been better received. So I really question Disney's decision to do that if it was not to play in front of the Fate of the Furious and to compete for people's oohs and ahs with the a Justice League trailer in the theater. So what do you think? What did you think when you first saw it? Now that you've had some time to reflect and we've gone into it in depth, do you feel any different about it? What do you think? Do you think Disney should have released Thor Ragnarok this week, or do you think it was a mistake? How do you feel about Luke saying that this is time for the Jedi to end? What do you think of how Kathleen Kennedy just has a one-track mind? Feminism, feminism, feminism. Do you think that will be, do you think that, can anyone stop her over at the Disney company and be like, for the love of God, stop it. She needs an intervention. And what do you think of the poster? Write your thoughts down below. I had a lot of fun with this. I look forward to discussing the movie as it comes closer to release. And I can't wait to see Benicio del Toro and Laura Dern. And even the new character, I forget her name. My apologies. She was even at Star Wars Celebration. But I'm willing to give her a chance. I hope she does a great job. I just hope she isn't caught up in all the Kathleen Kennedy is making Star Wars feminist hoopla. I hope, her name is Rose. She's clearly an ode to Rosie the Riveter. We'll see if it's too much like that. All right, write your thoughts down below, and you can check out some more videos right now.